Who serves food at the Death Star restaurant?
Who?
Darth Vader.
Hungry Squared, bringing you the best food talk anywhere.
Welcome to the Hungry Squared podcast where the brain and belly meet. I'm Sharon from the Wasatch Cooking Guide.
And I'm Winter from theredparty.com. This week, we're out and about.
Out and about?
Yeah, we're talking about takeout containers. Can you believe it?
Sweet.
Let's talk about it.
Hungry Squared, yeah, Hungry Squared.
Sharon, how's your week been? Did you eat anything fun this week?
Yes. I was traveling this week for work.
Again.
Wah, and meeting more new fun and exciting people.
That's always nice though.
And my coworker and I went out and got pizza after our pedicures.
Oh, sweet.
We had a long day and needed pedicures and pizza. So we went and got Pizzeria Limone. Have you ever eaten there?
No, I have not.
It's super good. So it's a chain. I'm not sure if it's a local or national chain. I think it's national.
Okay.
There's one here in Salt Lake City and I've never been to that one. And there's one where we were at in southern Utah in St. George, just outside of Las Vegas. And it was really good. They have a signature pizza that they put lemons on it.
Oh, hence the name.
Yes, Pizzeria Limone.
And
it's wood-fired pizza. So
oh, okay.
It's all personal pizza. Each pizza is, I don't even know, it's probably 8 inches or so. It's cut into 6 pieces. And it's that wood-fired where you get like a char on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the original Italian pizza.
Chewy.
Although I've never been there, so I couldn't say. But yeah, it's chewy. It's like a thinner crust.
Yes.
It's really good. And
what did you get?
My pizza, I don't even remember what it's called, but it had an olive oil base with some garlic, aged cheese, prosciutto, basil, and pears.
Oh,
pears just made it.
Pears and prosciutto. That's a great combination.
Well, it was either that or the prosciutto and blackberry.
Ooh.
So yeah.
Prosciutto and a berry.
Hard to decide.
Yeah. I don't know what I would have gotten.
Yeah.
The blackberry one seems a little more daring to me.
My friend got a Napoli margarita, and hers was delicious.
Oh, it's a classic.
Cooked the basil on there instead of just using it as a garnish. And the tomatoes were amazing.
Oh, good tomatoes.
So good.
Well, it's the best time of the year, like the harvest of tomatoes and such. So,
yeah.
Nice.
What did you eat this week?
So,
anything new or fun?
I went and did a class at Sur La Table, and it was a French macaron class.
Ooh.
With autumn flavors.
Oh, tell me about those flavors.
I know, they were so delicious. So one was candy apple with it was supposed to be caramel buttercream and apple butter filling. And the other one was supposed to be a pumpkin spice macaron cookie with a chocolate ganache filling.
Did you wear your Ugg boots to the class?
No, I didn't. But I think I had a top knot though.
Oh, perfect. It's the autumn look.
It's the autumn look.
So your PSL macarons.
Yes, exactly. So it was pretty fun because I had a couple friends that invited me, and one of the girls that was with me, she is quite the accomplished baker, and she has made thousands of macarons before. So I was kind of like, why is she coming to this class? But she was like, I like to get new flavor ideas, and it's fun just to hang out and be with friends too. So I was like, okay, that's cool. But it was especially awesome because she is really good at it.
Oh, so you kind of had like the inside secret to macarons.
So we had our main teacher, and she was good. I would say that she maybe has not made thousands of macarons like my friend has.
Okay.
Because there were people asking her questions, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So, you know how, for example, like, you've heard of people saying like when you pipe your macarons, then you bang on like you're supposed to bang them on the counter.
I've seen it done. I've never actually made them, but I've seen that done.
Yeah. And so somebody asked her like, are we supposed to do that? And she's like, what are you talking about? No, you're not supposed to do that. And we're like, every YouTube person out there does that. So maybe everybody's doing it wrong. So, but it was really nice because she, my friend, she was like, she gave us all of her troubleshooting tips that she runs into because she's made so many of them. She's like, if there's been an issue, I've probably run into it. So I picture rain because I've made a number of them for a friend's wedding. And I was like, this happened. What do you think? What do you think the deal was? And she kind of gave me some tips on that. So it was really fun. And the flavors were really good. The caramel buttercream didn't work out. So we just ended up using it as a caramel drizzle. And so it was good. It was fine,
Nice.
but it didn't work out. So not everything works out when you take a cooking class. You hope it does, but not everything,
Yeah.
especially macarons.
I mean,
They're
You're
notoriously fickle.
yes, they're temperamental. I mean, you're going to have fails no matter what,
Mhm.
whether you're in a commercial kitchen or a home kitchen.
Yeah.
That's just always kind of there.
You can't avoid it sometimes, but you can try. Like you can do the best you can. So
Well, and that's kind of the adventure of cooking
Mhm.
is you opt for something else. We're going to do a drizzle instead of a filling.
yeah. And
You
that
know?
was, I thought that was quite like, it's the caramel's not completely kaput. So we're going to use it.
Nice.
And it turned out. So it was super fun.
Nice. I like it.
And now for the main course.
So let's get down to our topic at hand, which is dining out, takeout, out and about.
Out and about.
Out.
Well, and
We're just out.
okay, so let's be completely honest. We were inspired this week because we got pizza, just to take out pizza,
As you do.
as you do. And I noticed this box that this pizza came in, and I was like, gosh, this box is quite a design feat. And so I brought it up with Sharon because also it's November, everybody.
And everyone knows that you're only making one big meal this month, and all of your other meals you are going to buy. You're going to go get a drive-through.
Yep.
You're going to go get pizza delivered, Chinese takeout, what have you, because you're going to just exhaust yourself cooking the one meal
Yes.
at the end of the month.
So we thought, while you're going to go pick up your pizza or your Chinese takeout or whatever, we'll give you a little history about these containers.
And we'll talk about the design because the design's kind of fun.
Yes, it totally is. So I get to talk about, first of all, the pizza box. I did not know this, but back in Italy, in the old country, in the 1800s,
Old country.
yes, they would, so bakers back in the 1800s would walk around, or actually they would send their sons out with these copper pots with a lid on it, a vented lid. And they would send their sons out to sell just kind of the last bits of scrap of stuff, and it would stay warm in these copper pots because these copper pots held the heat well, and then these vents allowed it to not
steam and get soggy.
Yes, exactly. So
Oh.
it was lovely, and the little copper pots were called stuffas, stufas, and I think it translates to stoves. Literally.
Warming.
Yeah. It's like
okay.
a warming stove. So then we go 100 years later, and pizza is starting to kind of show up on the scene in the United States, in New York, namely, where there were a lot of immigrants. And so it's kind of not totally sure if it's true or not, but there's legend that originally pizza came in a cone, and they wrapped it up with some paper and some twine, and they were cold. And workers would go buy them, and then they would heat them up on any of the furnaces at their work later in the day for lunch. So
Interesting.
let's
Okay.
talk about that. Like, that's the first takeout
And
that
the
I want to
first
say.
microwave at
I know.
work.
So Lombardi's was the actual first American licensed pizzeria, and so they took these pizzas and rolled them up. But once again, it's legend. I'm not totally sure if that was the case or not, but that's what I heard. So now fast forward a little bit to post World War II, and all of these GIs that were returning home there's a lot of them that had been exposed to pizzas in Italy. And so they shot up way into popularity. And of course, everybody wanted to take some home, you want to be able to send it home or eat it at home. Now the tricky thing is that how are they going to transport that? Because pizzas if you get kind of a big one, they're kind of unwieldy, right? How are you going to transport that?
Well, and do you take a plate home?
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
It just is not great.
It's
So
weird.
there was kind of some first inventions were sitting on a kind of a corrugated cardboardy base and then being put into a paper bag. And there's some places that
That could
still
work.
do that. The paper allows for the steam to escape, but there's not a ton of structure besides that. And you can't stack pizzas
No,
that way.
Yeah.
You're gonna
That'd be
mess up
gross.
you're gonna mess up your cheese, yo.
Yeah. That.
Mm-hmm. There is one company that still does that in New Jersey, and that's their kind of their signature.
They're
look.
old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that, because pizza was starting to become huge, there were a lot of people that were trying to figure out ways to transport this and store these pizzas. Obviously cardboard seemed to be a good option, but they started with that thin cardboard. And so you run into the thin cardboard that doesn't have any sort of, structure sometimes. And they would get greasy fast, probably from like oil and would fall apart.
Yeah. Break down the paper.
Yeah. So those things they were sad. So now the thing that really revolutionized the pizza delivery business was from the founder of Domino's, actually, Tom Monahan. And he wanted to get pizzas to people. That was what he wanted to do. And so
30 minutes or less.
Yep, exactly. And he worked together with a company called Triad Containers, and they really started to kind of come up with a design in order to have a sturdy box. And they came up with what most everybody sees is the pizza box we have. So it's basically one piece of cardboard, corrugated cardboard that snaps in together.
Oh yeah, it kind of folds in on itself.
Yep. And it's called the Michigan style when that top locks down into the base.
Okay.
So, and you don't have anything to hold it down together. It just does it on its own. The other nice thing about the design of this pizza box is that it had steam vents. So once again, your pizza doesn't get soggy, which is nice.
Stays crisp.
Yes, it's a lovely thing. And other than that, it really hasn't changed since then. I mean, there's a conference for everything, right? And there was, I was looking around and they have a pizza conference talking about things happening in the pizza world. And some of the newly found box ideas are just amazing. Like there's a possibility that it could be improved upon, but this box is pretty awesome. Like this original box is a solid, and there's not too much more that you can improve on it. I personally think. I'm sure that
major pizza chains use it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's that Michigan style locking box, and that's how you get your pizza to you nice and warm and ready to go. Isn't that cool?
Cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Well, I am also talking about a disposable item, but mine goes back to when trains were the major mode of transportation. And in the 1800s, early 1900s, commonly on trains, you would have these, people, they just kind of stuff the cars full and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you would have, and on long train rides, you would need things like water and stuff, and they would have a communal bucket and a communal dipper. And yes, I guess that would make sense, but back in the day, yeah. So there was a physician by the name of Dr. Samuel Crumbine, and he was a health officer in Kansas. So he didn't only see patients, he also had some clout, I guess, as like a public health official of sorts. And he was on a train ride one day in Kansas and noticed that there was a man he recognized as his patient who had tuberculosis.
Oh.
And
I can see where this may be going.
Yeah. So the man with tuberculosis used the communal dipper and bucket because that's what was available.
Yeah.
And behind him, and so he took a drink out of the dipper. And then behind him in line was a little girl who used the same dipper.
Oh.
And back in the day, I mean, it's not like when you share a water bottle now, like those squeezy water bottles that you can just kind of squirt into your mouth.
Yes.
Like to really get the water off of the dipper and into your mouth, like you've got to put your lips on it.
You do. Yeah.
And drink. And so that's what they did. And the physician was
very concerned, I'm sure.
Yes, very upset. Yay for germ theory going around back then. So awesome. And this prompted him to go on a public health crusade to ban communal utensils, such as
Like-
dippers in public places.
Gotcha.
So
Really? That is
they really wanted to,
so
he really
interesting.
wanted to change that
Okay.
because of the spread of disease.
Yes.
So cashing in on that were two men, let me get their names, Lawrence Llewellyn and Hugh Moore,
Mm-hmm.
and they created a paper cup, which was a disposable paper cup, and they called it the health cup.
Oh, okay.
And then later that health cup was renamed to the Dixie cup.
Oh, now
Yeah.
I know that name. I was
Yes.
like, never heard of Health Cup.
So, and the Dixie cup today still uses conveniently germ-free tagline in their advertising.
Oh,
And they make a lot of products, not just those little 3-ounce bathroom cups that you used when you were a kid.
really quickly, it was a paper cup, right?
Yes, it was a paper cup.
Okay.
For a while, it was like a paper cone cup.
Oh,
And
okay,
For
yes.
like a penny, you could get water in this paper cup
Okay.
on the trains. So
Which is nice.
it was great.
Yes.
So the Dixie cup was renamed the Dixie cup around 1919 because it was named after a successful line of dolls called the Dixie Doll Company.
Really? They just decided to name it like,
Yeah.
that's a good name.
Yup. They had struggled with some branding issues and things like that. And
Well, the
their,
Health Cup, that name right there.
their company was known under different names. And then when they started calling themselves the Dixie Company, Dixie Cups, they just saw huge success and name recognition with that. And so they've
Oh.
stuck with it.
Well, when a brand works, a brand works.
Yeah. Interesting.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
Man, disease?
Yeah. And so, but Dixie has expanded their line of
Mhm. Yes,
products.
for sure.
They're making plates and utensils. They also make coffee cups, paper coffee cups
Yes.
with the sleeve, and then you've got like the plastic top.
Yes.
So I thought something about those that was interesting is everyone's using them.
Really, quite a bit. I mean,
Everyone's
they're
using
everywhere.
them. And the way that they make these waterproof usually is by lining them with certain types of plastic or wax
Oh, yes.
and sealing
So they don't,
them that
they're
way.
leak proof, basically.
Yeah, so they're leak proof. But something of note that I found in researching these paper cups, because I go and get coffee or tea at work or on the way. And something that I found is that paper cups, no matter the cup and no matter the type of lining that's in the cup, it's just the way that the cup is built. But especially with those
The
different
plasticizers or
linings
whatever.
and dyes and things like that, that paper cups can only be recycled at specialized treatment facilities, regardless of the type of liner that they have.
Really? Wait.
Yeah, because of the different dyes that are used and the types of insulation and stuff that they put in those
Really?
cups. Yeah.
So do we know where these specialized, like, do people have access to these?
Not really.
Really?
Not a lot. So
So-
like in the UK, there's only 2.
Of the all of UK.
Uh-huh. There's only 2 of those facilities that
Oh.
will recycle those paper cups.
That is worrisome.
Yeah, right? Another thing that I found was worrisome is that, so I found some statistics and some were verifiable and others were just kind of, they're put out there and people have done some studies, but they haven't come to some conclusive evidence. And so some people are just kind of like throwing estimates out there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's quite a bit of emissions that happen from the making and processing of these.
I'm sure.
And we're just talking like the 16-ounce coffee cups with that plastic lid and the sleeve on there.
Right.
And the emissions on those is about 1/4 pound for CO2 emissions
Wow.
per cup with a sleeve. That includes the paper from the trees, the materials, the production, the shipping. It's about 1/4 pound of CO2 emissions.
Oh, man.
And the estimated habitat loss from one of those 16-ounce paper coffee cups is, with the sleeve, is estimated to be almost an entire square foot
That seems
of
crazy.
habitat /
That seems
tree
crazy.
loss. Yeah. So, people, the moral of this story is to get your reusable water bottles and your reusable travel mugs.
Yeah.
It pays off in the environment in the long run.
Well, and
It's cheaper.
a lot of these coffee places also, they'll take your coffee mug and fill it up with whatever you are wanting.
Yeah, and some places like my work will even only charge it as a refill instead of
See, and it's
they charge
cheaper.
more to get a new cup.
Save the world.
Save the world, and sometimes it can be cheaper, but like any Starbucks that you go to, if you give them like your travel mug, they'll just fill that like normal.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
Holy cow.
And it's super easy to identify your drink too.
Yes, you're like that.
So you
is
don't
my
know like,
crazy mug.
oh, did you also order this common basic pumpkin spice latte? You know yours because that's your cup.
Yeah, you're like, and it's in my mug.
That's right.
Yes, a reusable mug. Do
Yeah.
that.
I once went on a date where this guy brought his Nalgene bottle.
And didn't ask for any.
No, he asked the waitress to fill it.
Oh,
She did.
there you go.
She filled it at the soda fountain with what he wanted.
Really?
Yeah, I think he wanted like iced tea or something.
Well, I mean, why not?
But yeah, I mean, he just got charged for a regular drink, but like it just cuts
It's-
down on waste.
Yeah, that is that. And
So.
back in the day, there is definitely something to be said about having this health cup in a sense. But we know a lot more about germ theory now, right? About germs.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep your own germs and have your own Nalgene bottle.
Yep, you can. Don't spread it.
Don't spread it.
So speaking of germs and waste, McDonald's is not full of germs and waste. They might be full of waste now though, but so back in 1948, so after the war, which prompts so many things.
So many things. War and disease.
Yes,
The invention, the mother of all invention, right?
right, war and disease. So back in 1948, the newly founded McDonald's restaurant closed its doors to revamp its menu. And along with that, they wanted to kind of revamp their workflows and processes surrounding how they waited on customers
Okay.
and also like how they served customers and what they served the customers in. They had been experiencing a lot of customer theft of tableware
Oh.
because it used to be more of a sit-down place.
Oh, yes. Okay. I
than-
think I knew that, but
because
okay.
it wasn't, they didn't have an actual drive-through back then. It was more like a car hop service.
Right. Okay.
Like you'd see it like a Sonic now.
And people were stealing their silverware.
Totally were. They totally were. So they wanted to give people food that they could just take away with them.
Right.
So
So they really were trying to make a major shift to be a takeout restaurant.
yes. Yeah. Just to
Wow.
cut down on their resources
Mm-hmm.
and their expenses for hiring dishwashers and things like that.
Right. Well, that makes sense. Well, yeah, that takes some time. And you have to have a lot of dishes that people may steal.
Yeah. So they were using wrappers and things like that, like paper wrappers.
Oh, yes. We've seen those burgers.
Mhm.
Little 99-cent burgers in the paper wrappers.
Yeah. So they used a lot of those and paper napkins and things like that. So something cool because their packaging has evolved over the years is a little over 20 years from that time. So in the early 70s, there was a local man, and I say local here to Utah, named John Huntsman,
Oh,
who I don't know,
John Huntsman Sr.?
Senior.
I suspect.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You may know John Huntsman Jr. or know his name. He was a former Republican Party candidate in 2012.
Yes, that's right.
An ambassador to China, and he's done a few other things.
Yes, a lot of things. A lot of things.
So, but anyway, his dad was John Huntsman Sr., and he went to Wharton School of Business in Pennsylvania. He went to Stanford. He's very educated,
Very.
very business savvy. And one of his first jobs was working at an egg production factory in Los Angeles.
Really?
And he created like a plastic-based egg carton. so eggs wouldn't get crushed at the store so often.
What?
When you bought them.
I did not know that. Really?
Yeah. So that was one of his first inventions.
So that molded like
Yep.
the little divots
Yep,
for
the
every single egg?
molded plastic it was a plastic foam composite type thing.
Really?
Yeah, he was one of the inventors for that. And so he went on. So he really liked this foam composite, this plastic foam, polystyrene.
Yes.
And he started his own company and created the original clamshell for the Big Macs for McDonald's.
Oh, also.
The old school clamshells.
Yes.
Big Macs came in this foam clamshell box. It was square, tall.
Yep. So it would protect the burger.
Protect the burger, not crush the burger. You could put it in a bag. You could take it with you easily.
Yes.
Yeah. So he made that.
I didn't know that.
So pretty cool. And he's a really nice guy.
Yes.
He and his wife I've met several times. I worked with them in a past life, in a past job.
And they're extremely
lovely
generous.
people.
They're extremely
and their family
generous.
is lovely too.
So that is cool. I didn't know
But-
that was his claim to fame.
Yeah,
Or I guess
that's one of
maybe
his claims to fame. So now he
inventions.
has the Huntsman Chemical Corporation.
Yes.
It was called a couple of different things, but they basically make these polystyrene and other types of packaging and plastics. So
You know what?
cool.
Whenever you go and get a burger nowadays, generally they come in something like that, clamshell.
Mm-hmm.
Protects the burger. You can stack a few burgers on top of each other. Kind of, you run into the same problem like pizzas. So you need to be able to have something to protect one product from the next, from being crushed from the things on top.
Yeah. And there was others available at the time,
Yeah.
but McDonald's liked this particular one for its anti-crushing properties.
Anti-crushing properties.
Yeah. It was sturdier and
Yes.
stronger than the other ones.
Yes.
Not exactly recyclable.
Yes.
So
Definitely some issues with that.
yeah. So now you'll see things in fast food more paper based,
Mhm.
just so it can decompose quicker
Mhm.
and things like that. And again, with the paper cup issue, some paper cups are biodegradable depending on what kind of liner that they put in. There's some types of, it's not quite a plastic liner, but there's some that are like BPA free and stuff like that.
Oh.
But that will also allow the cup to break down.
At some point in time.
Yeah.
Not while you're drinking your coffee necessarily, but
Yes, hopefully not.
at some point in time.
Yeah. So that's nice, but it's still, it's waste.
Yes.
So bring your own utensils to work, people.
Yeah.
Wash them.
All of these takeout containers, we run into this.
Bring some plates and mugs at work.
Have those set aside.
And at home, do the same.
Do the same as best as you can. Well, I was going to talk about one last thing that is very recognizable in the takeout world.
Ooh, what?
It's the Chinese takeout container.
Oh man, that's like the original takeout
Right?
container.
So, and I would like to point out that this is a fully American invention.
Is it now?
It totally is. So, and it's so funny because it's so known for being a Chinese food takeout container.
Okay, I
Right.
have to say that I saw somewhere online that it was called an oyster pail.
Yes, and let's talk about that. So, they're called oyster pails because they look like in the oyster industry. Actually, they are something that looks like that pail it's like a wooden receptacle and has a locking cover to transport oysters. And so that's kind of what that shape is.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are they calling it that?
It's like, because this pail looks like an oyster pail is what they're called. So
Cool. Okay.
and eventually I think they had so they basically took inspiration from that. So the person that invented it was Frederick Weeks Wilcox, and he patented this version of almost a paper pail, and you can make it with a single piece of paper. In a sense, there are creases, and generally it's origami, right? If you think about it, you're like, I'm gonna put this here,
it's
and
folded, and then
Mhm.
the little handle locks everything in place.
Yeah. So
Right?
everybody knows that from the little handle, the little
metal
handle, that
piece.
little tiny metal handle. And they're all held into place by that kind of locking into place. So, and it was, like I said, this gentleman, Frederick Weeks Wilcox, in 1894. He's from Chicago. He created and patented this paper pail. So, and people started using it a lot more for transporting different things. So it was disposable. It was inexpensive, leak proof because of the way it folded together. There wasn't ways for sauce or anything to leak out. Now, unfortunately, there was kind of some discussion, like, how did that very iconic red pagoda, right?
Yes.
And the thank you.
Mm-hmm. The printing on it.
The printing, the typography on that one is very specific to that. And they don't have the graphic designer's name who does that. But
slightly racist.
Yeah. Yes. But it was in the 1970s that it showed up, and from there, people just know it to be Chinese food. And it says thank you on it. It says enjoy your food or something of that nature on there. And they did it in red because red is a very good luck color in China. It's very prosperous. And so, of course, they did it in that. But once again, Chinese people know they don't sell any of these in China. Like, this is not something that they make in China. So, but you probably have seen the Fold Pack Company. They were the ones that put that pagoda on there and that stylized.
Yeah, I think it says Fold Pack on the bottom. Doesn't
Yeah,
it
does. So yeah, it's it hasn't really changed since that time either. The only thing that they really have changed since back then is they remove the little metal handle thing nowadays. So people could use microwaves. And we talked about microwaves before. And
so it doesn't explode.
Yeah, exactly. So generally it's
Good
like
idea.
glue kind of holding it together instead of wire. So, but generally you see that packaging and you know, Chinese food, you know exactly what that's powerful
It's
branding
synonymous.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting to where that came from and how it's so uniquely American, not Chinese in any way.
Can I just say, I had a purse
That was that shape.
It was in the exact shape of a Chinese takeout container in the 90s. My friend and I both had one. She had a red one and I had a blue one.
Oh yeah. It's a very distinct shape and is
I kind of wish it would come back in style. I don't know.
to pull that baby out. I thought that was really interesting. So hopefully you guys, when you are getting all your takeout in the month of November,
I mean, it's American. So you should get Chinese takeout because it's totally American. And it reminds you of a Christmas story.
Yeah, exactly.
It's holidays. Let's have a food fight.
Food fight, food fight, food fight, food fight.
This is the segment where you can email us with your relationship questions relating to food. You can email us at hungrysquared@gmail.com.
Disclaimer, we are in no way professional relationship experts, but you should totally listen to us anyway. If you need professional help, please seek it out.
Food fight, food fight. The food fight segment of the show. Here we go.
This week we have a special guest for our food fight. Kori Lusignan from Misery Loves Cookery. She's lived all over the place. Right now she's in Florida and she is originally from Wisconsin. She's lived in Dixie, Chicago, and France before she's been in Florida. And
It's
she
true.
also has a master's in learning and organizational change. So I think she's really well versed in officiating food disagreements. Would you say that? Yeah.
I would definitely say that. Welcome, Kori.
Hi, good to see you guys.
We're
Or
so
hear you guys, I
we're
guess.
yeah, we're so excited that you're on the show. I had the pleasure of meeting Kori a month back in Austin, and she is delightful. So we're so excited to have her on
Aw.
today.
Right back at you.
Okay, Kori, are you ready for this?
I am.
Okay.
I'm absolutely ready.
Here
Bring it
is the question.
on. Okay.
So it says, "Hi, Winter and Sharon," and I guess now Kori, I need help.
Okay.
Recently, I found myself at dinner with a group of people of 8. And in parentheses, it says a combo of coworkers and friends. There were more lulls in the conversation than actual conversation. in the
Okay.
future, when this group gets together again, how can we avoid further awkwardness? And they signed it off as dinner anxiety.
Okay. So, what do we do to start conversation? Is that really the question, or to keep conversation going? What do you guys think?
I think
What are
it's a
what are we jumping into
combination.
first?
I think it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been in that situation before, because they did mention that it was coworkers and friends, and so it's like, what do you talk about? Do you talk about work, or do you know enough about each other's personal lives to get into personal life conversation?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that thing that happens when multiple circles of your life come together, and then
Right.
and then you're trying to make a new circle with these new people, and then what happens at that point?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think another layer of it too is that you're probably going to have this mixture of introverts and extroverts at the table. And while somebody who is prone to introversion, meaning that they're going to get their energy, from time by themselves, quiet activities, just being with a few close friends, they would seek out a dinner with their friends, and it wouldn't be that depleting to them. If they sit at a table with a bunch of people that they don't know well, they're going to feel their energy kind of going down. Whereas the extroverts, they're going to be with new people. They're going to feel their energy kind of filling up. That's going to fill up their tank. And so I think being mindful of the fact that some of the people at the table might be kind of taxed, that kind of forcing a conversation or demanding a conversation from people who might be feeling, a little bit tired from it, is difficult. So just understanding that people are coming at it from a different place and being comfortable with the fact that it can be quiet for a moment or two, that we don't have to fill in every second of time, is probably a very generous act in those types of situations. It gives people a little bit of space to, be settled, refill, breathe, and then enjoy the meal too. I mean, I think we're just afraid of silence a lot of times in those social things, and it feels awkward, but if we're able to just say, okay, like, we're all comfortable here, we're all enjoying ourselves, we don't have to have every bit of conversation, sparkling and every moment filled with delightful anecdotes, that's okay. That's an acceptable dinner.
Yeah, and the food, if it's good, then it's good,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Okay,
right.
so now, Kori, then I'm going to throw this back at you then.
Okay.
I am an extrovert, I would say, generally. And
Yeah.
so I do feel awkward when those kind of silences happen.
Me too.
And I think I would probably, if there was silence and I acknowledged the fact that there were some introverts in the group, I would probably go pull out my phone and start going on Facebook. I know, that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible dinner etiquette. So any thoughts on how to help the extroverts out? Because they get antsy.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I'm way on that side of extroversion, and I'm married to somebody who's way on the other side of introversion. And I definitely have been in groups where it feels a little bit like if you're in a piano recital and you start to watch a kid forget their music, and you have that horrible feeling like, oh, nothing good can come of this. I need to jump in and do something, but there's nothing you can do. That's what those awkward
Yes.
feelings are like. And I mean, the truth is, the more we're able to sit and recognize that discomfort and kind of just breathe through it and say, okay, I don't have to rescue this. It feels uncomfortable. And then make this choice to focus in on something that is not our phone, which I would want to do too. I'd want to connect with all the people and say, look at this great steak I'm eating or something. I know that when I lived in France, I'll give this example. I lived in the south of France for a year, and we had an advisor who was at our American university, but was herself from France. And one of the things that we Americans really struggled with were these exceedingly long lines at the grocery store, or these long gaps in our service when we were at the restaurants. Everything seemed to take so long. We just couldn't understand. We were used to having a certain pace to things, and it just was frustrating. And when we expressed this to our advisor, she said something like, have you noticed that most of the French people aren't having this crisis of waiting? what do you think is going on? And we didn't really know. And then she offered that, they have enough interesting things to think about that they don't feel anxious when they just are alone in their thoughts, that they can just enjoy. They can look at something beautiful around them. They can smell what they smell. They can enjoy what they enjoy. Now, that's very simple, but it's exceedingly hard to do, right? So I would say maybe the kind of practice you do as an extrovert is you focus in on the sensory things around you that are enjoyable. You try and fill yourself up with that. When that awkward feeling comes up, you acknowledge that it's there. And then you do have conversation in the best way you can. I would never suggest that there isn't true awkwardness sometimes, but I think, the more you go out, the more you practice with that group, the less awkward it's going to be. And, focus in on the person next to you who is wanting to talk about something. Make a comment about their cool purse or the lovely dinner that they decided to eat, or, have you been to this restaurant before? What do you think? You can do that without having to save the whole table,
Save the person next to you.
Save yourself by talking to the person next to you. But yeah, I'm the same way. Like I do find that horrible tendency to just want to pull out my phone and, text someone or chit chat or look and see what's on social media. And you're right. It's awful etiquette. And as I'm doing it, I'm thinking to myself, Kori, do better. Like this is not good behavior. And yet there I am doing it. So yeah, I'm empathetic to that.
Okay, so another follow-up. So
Okay.
if I am like very cognizant of, okay, I'm going to take in this dinner, I'm going to take in my dinner companions and just really enjoy where I'm at right now, like the
Be
French.
very present and mindful.
Yes, with the friend, like the French do. So what if somebody, what if the two people sitting next to you do pull out their phones? How do I pull them out of that? How do I engage them?
Well, I tend to be very direct, right? So I have a belief that being direct is kind, as long as you're kind when you're direct. That's kind of my mantra.
Oh, that's a good mantra.
So if someone pulls out their phone, I'm not going to chide them, right? I'm not going to say, we really aren't using our phones here today. That would be just kind of passive aggressive, honestly. And it's not actually direct. It's just kind of scolding. I would likely say, what's going on? Something interesting? Like engage in their phone with them. Everything okay? Good article? Like, what are you reading? Like, I'd get right in there and become a part of that. Because it's either going to make them say, oh, no, this isn't important, and put it away. Or it's going to start a conversation about what they're talking about. Well, there's this article that just came out, or, my spouse just wrote to say that, such and such happened with my kid. Something's going to happen with that. That makes the phone just a part of the conversation as opposed to being this big problem, right? That would be my tactic.
Nice. I like that. I mean, if all else fails and other people are engaging with their phone, you can engage with them with the phone.
Yeah, right. I mean, or you pull out your phone and say, I saw the funniest thing today. Let me show you.
Yeah.
So
something
basically,
light.
kind of using it as a conversation starter and then setting it aside and jumping off from there.
Theoretically, right? I mean, let's try it. Can't hurt.
Yeah, I like it.
I feel really good about this. This was really helpful for me. I need to be comfortable in my own thoughts.
So speaking as an introvert, I am comfortable in my own thoughts. And so it makes me wonder if all of the people of France are introverts.
I don't know.
Obviously, that can't be the way.
They certainly have a much more relaxed kind of approach to their everyday lives. They have a lot of balance there. They have a lot of recreation and a lot of, time to really savor and enjoy things. So that would be my guess. I certainly have French friends who are extroverts, so I know they exist. But I think that's a good start. And then everyone at the table can really try to enjoy. It's hard. It's hard when it's awkward like that. Everybody feels it, introverts and extroverts, when it's awkward. But you just have to kind of get through it and hope that the next time everyone will be that little bit more comfortable and, you'll start a groove and There you
play
go.
icebreaker games? Is that ever appropriate? Like, what's appropriate dinner etiquette? Like, when you're getting groups of people together and you're out, like you're not in somebody's home.
Right.
What's, is there anything that's like not, I don't know, not kosher to talk about? Like, do you talk politics and religion at the dinner table, or do we just traditionally like say no to that still?
That's a great question. I mean, I think manners would say we never talk about those things, but I'm not going to lie to you and say that I don't talk about those things. Like, I definitely talk about them sometimes. I mean, you have to read the conversation and the people. There are people with whom you can have a very interesting and respectful conversation, even if you disagree. And then there are people that will be really hurt or offended if you disagree, or might make personal comments, or you might find yourself that you are not capable of being kind-hearted, that you might feel defensive. I don't think anyone goes to dinner hoping to change their vote or be converted to a new religion. So
definitely.
That's a good point. Keep that in mind, everybody.
A standard, right? I got invited to dinner, and now, no, you don't come home and say that. It's the funniest thing. It's like the whole, I'm so glad I saw that bumper sticker. It totally changed my views on everything.
Right? Yeah, that's not going to happen.
But I mean, there are real points in our lives that are important to talk about, that are driven by things that are happening in our country, things that are happening in the world, policies that we feel strongly about, by our ethics, by our morals, by the teachings that we believe in that help guide us. And if you're actually having a conversation about those things and you can do it respectfully, I think those are really important conversations to have. That's how people learn to get along with other people. And that's how people learn to expand the way that they think, or even to better understand their own arguments and their own beliefs. So I don't know. I think it's worth it if you can do it, but probably not at a table of 8 with coworkers and friends who are already awkward. That's not when you say, like, how about this election? Or let me tell you what the pastor said at church last week. No, simmer it down. Like, not appropriate. Nope.
Okay. I feel really good about that. What do you think, Sharon?
I agree. I like it. I mean, I think that those conversations are important to have to expand your thinking, reinforce your thought, reinforce your beliefs and thoughts. But also, I mean, it can expand your perspective as well. Not that learning about somebody else's point of view is going to change yours, but by talking it over and things like that in a respectful way, I think your view can expand. Mm-hmm. And possibly eventually change. But I mean, it doesn't mean that it will, for sure.
Well, there's something to be said simply for growing empathy.
Yes.
Right? You don't have to change your views to be a better empathetic person.
Right.
And that's I think, the crux of it.
And I think everybody needs compassion and empathy and that wholehearted, intent. Mm-hmm. But again, table of 8. Probably not. I mean,
right.
When you separate in the parking lot as you're walking towards your cars, maybe like into, a smaller group, possibly. I don't know. Is that parking lot conversation possibly, maybe, or future conversation,
Right. I mean, you could do something like, there's an exercise that, well, I guess it's a practice, not an exercise, but, called Rose and Thorn, right? Where you kind of go around the table and you talk about your day and you say what the rose was, like what was the best part, the highlight of your day, and what was the thorn in your day.
Oh,
you can
like
expand
that.
it to say, what are you looking forward to tomorrow? Those can also feel a little bit uncomfortable if you're not used to practicing them and if you're doing them with new people, but it's pretty innocuous to ask people about the good and bad parts of their day. And theoretically, even when you find out about the bad part of their day, what's more likely to happen is that other people will say, oh, I hate when that happens. I'm so sorry. That happened to me, da-da-da-da-da-da, right? Like they'll fill in. So that creates some pathways too for empathy, compassion, getting to know people. And, what better place to have that conversation than around a meal? Meals are very communal and they make everybody come together and share things. So that's probably a pretty safe kind of icebreaker or safe conversation maker, as long as there aren't people at the table who are terrified to talk, because then you're just being rude to make them not only talk, but come up with the absolute best and worst moments of their day. That's like a quiz then. You don't want that.
Talking in front of you guys is the worst part of my day.
My boyfriend and I do that with his kids. I mean, you could just apply those principles there to the awkward dinner companions.
This moment is my thorn. Thank you.
Well, Kori, thank you so much. I think we got some good stuff from this. I hope Mr. or Miss Dinner Anxiety has a few things in their arsenal to use next time.
Yeah, and I would say to them, if nothing else, just get something like pasta. Like, fill up with carbs if you're going to be uncomfortable.
Comfort food. Order a comfort meal.
Order macaroni and cheese. Do something like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
It was great talking with you guys.
Thank you so much, Kori. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today on our show. You can find us at hungrysquared.com, on iTunes, on Stitcher, and Google Play Music.
This week, you guys, we are wondering if you can join us on Facebook at the Hungry Squared podcast page. We're actually doing something really special next week on Facebook Live. So if you want to join us there, come subscribe to our page there, hit like, and we will start showing up in your feed. But we are planning on having something. We're doing some Facebook Live stuff there. So come join us there. It'll be fun.
Live video is going to be awesome.
Yeah. And you can see us being totally nerdy and unedited.
Because we're really edited on this.
Totally.
I mean, a little bit.
Thanks, Lee. Okay, well, we'll see you next week for our next episode of Food Nerdery.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.
Hungry Squared, yeah, Hungry Squared.